OKADA Manila, the best integrated resort in the Philippines.
At sa ating mga kababayan sa buong mundo, welcome sa kauna-unahang presidential debate ngayong halalan 2022. Hatid sa inyo ng Sunshine Media Network International, katuwang ang ALV Events International at ng The Manila Times. Ako po si Jade Calabroso.
Sa unang pagkakataon ay masasaksihan natin ang paghaharap ng mga nagnanais tumangan sa pinakamataas na posisyon sa pamalaan at matutunghayan natin ang pagbabanggaan ng kani-kanilang mga plataporma at solusyon sa mga problema sa ating bansa. Ako si Joy Tabanao.
Mula nga dito sa OKADA, Manila, live na live po tayong napapanood ngayon sa buong Pilipinas at sa buong mundo via Free TV Channel 39, sa Digital TV SMNI News Channel, sa Sky Cable Signal at iba pang cable TV affiliates nationwide. Napakikinggan din po tayo sa lahat ng 17 Sunshine radio stations sa buong bansa. Naka-livestream din po tayo sa Facebook, YouTube, sa ating SMNI News at sa lahat ng Sunshine radio stations.
Makakasama rin natin ngayong gabi ang mga batikang panelists mula sa iba't ibang larangan para sukatin at kilatisin ang mga pangakong pagbabago ng mga nagnanais maging Pangulo ng bansa.
Are you all ready? Handa na po ba tayo lahat? Alam kong sabik na ang lahat na makita ang ating mga presidential candidates. Kilalanin na natin sila na nagnanais kunin ang tiwala ng sambayan na Pilipino para sa kinabukasan ng ating bansa sa susunod na 6 na taon.
Nagtapos ng kolehiyo sa Ateneo de Davao at nakakuha ng Master's Degree in Social Development sa Asian Institute of Management. Unang nakilala sa politika bilang unang spokesman ni Pangulo Rodrigo Duterte. Matapos mahigit 1 taon sa Malacanang, itinalaga naman siya bilang Undersecretary for Strategic Communications and Research sa Department of Foreign Affairs, kung saan naging kinatawan siya ng bansa sa iba't ibang issue na dapat pag-usapan sa international arena. At ngayong nalalapit na halalan, siya isasabak at susubukang tanganan ang pinakamataas sa posisyon sa pamahalaan. Tumatakbo bilang independent candidate, Ernie Abella. Nakakuha ng Special Diploma ng kursong Social Studies noong taong 1978 sa Oxford University. Matapos ito ay nagpatala siya para sa graduate course na MBA sa Wharton School of Business sa University of Pennsylvania. Dahil sumabak na sa politika at naging vice-gobernador ng Ilocos Norte sa murang edad na 23, hindi na niya natapos ang naturang kurso. Mula noon ay nagtuloy-tuloy na siya sa paglilingkod sa lalawigan ng Ilocos. Naging gobernador at kinatawan sa Kongreso. Taong 2010, nagsimulang sumabak sa national position bilang senador. Mula sa halos 3 dekadang serbisyo publiko, ngayong halalan, tumatakbong Pangulo sa ilalim ng Partido Federal ng Pilipinas, Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. Nagtapos ng pre-medicine course sa Ateneo de Davao University at ng master's degree in National Security Administration sa National Defense College. Naging Presidential Advisor for Special Concerns at tumayong National Security Advisor noong Arroyo Administration. Dito'y naging bahagi sa matagumpay na negosasyon sa pagitan ng gobyerno at MNLF at MILF para isulong ang kapayapaan. At sa halos 2 dekadang karanasan sa usaping pangkapayapaan, tumatakbong Pangulo mula sa Partido Demokratiko Sosyalista ng Pilipinas, Norberto Borja Gonzales. Nagtapos ng Customs Administration sa Philippine Maritime Institute Colleges, isang lider na hinubog ng karanasan bilang isang pinuno at maging miyembro ng iba't ibang grupo ng mga manggagawa sa higit 3 dekada. Naging bahagi ng Kilusang Mayo 1 at umupong chairman ng Bukluran ng Manggagawang Pilipino. Sumabak sa politika noong 2016 bilang first nominee ng Sanlakas Party List pero bigo makapasok sa Kongreso. Muli namang lumaban sa halalan noong 2019 sa pagkasenador pero hindi rin pinalad. Pero ngayong nalalapit na eleksyon, muling lalaban para makuha ang tiwala ng sambayanang Pilipino mula sa Partido Lakas ng Masa, tumatakbong Pangulo Leody de Guzman.
Sila po ang mga kumakandidato sa pagkapangulo ngayong nalalapit na halalan. Ipinapaalam lang natin na ang lahat po ng presidential candidates ay inimbitahan ng SMNI at sila pong 4 ang tumanggap ng hamon para sa debating ito.
Nilinaw po natin na hindi po kawalan ng SMNI ang hindi pagdalo ng iilang mga presidential candidates ngayong gabi. Kaya kahit ano man ang mangyari, tuloy ang laban kasama ang bayan.
A collective security alliance. You, as our country's chief architect of our foreign policy, are you going to make the Philippines as a member of the Quad? Why and why not?
Professor Carlos's question will be addressed to Secretary Norberto Gonzales first.
Well, we will always be part of arrangements like that. And yes, it's important. Dapat lagi kasi may mga kasama tayo, kung may mga hinaharap tayo mga problema sa mundo. Kaya kailangan, kung may mga arrangements na ganyan, dapat pinapasok natin.
Secretary Gonzales, if you have nothing to add, the other candidates may react to his answer. I think Secretary Ernie Abella.
Yes. The Philippines needs to retain an independent foreign policy, and in which case it needs to be able to dance between the 2 great powers. As we can maintain relationships with them, but not to join. However, because we need to be able to maintain that specific independent stance. We can relate with either one, the other one, but at the same time we need to retain our independence and be able to sustain our own sovereignty. Thank you.
Yeah, but Mr. Abella, remember, you're still linked to the United States of America because of the Mutual Defense Treaty.
That's true.
So the Quad is composed of, well, so-called democracies. And so are you more leaning towards being part of the Quad or some other collective security arrangement?
It's not a question of leading more, but the question of being able to maintain both while maintaining a balance.
Yeah, I have a problem with the concept of independent because it's like you're sitting on the fence. Is that what you mean?
No, I mean to say that we need to be able to make our own stands and be able to make our own decisions without undue influence from anybody.
I don't know that being friends with everybody is foreign policy.
We're
so
not being
thank
friends
you.
with anybody. We can have trade with the greater power, which is our neighbor. On the other hand, we can maintain MDTs with the people in Quad.
Yeah, well, the reason why, and this is for all the candidates, I asked this question is that right now I'm sure the big powers are trying to carve their own spheres of influence. And because we've always been within the sphere of influence of the United States of America, the Quad is simply an extension of this proposed collective security arrangement.
On the other hand, they will not always, we can always be sure that they will always stand for us.
Well, of course, nobody can answer that question, even if we ask Biden today, you know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Marcos?
Yes, I think any of these agreements we should, of course, encourage, as long as it is very clear to us what is the advantage to the Philippines. What the professor just mentioned was she spoke about the great powers trying to carve out spheres of influence. I reject that model that I believe no longer applies in the geopolitics of the modern world. The old Cold War thinking. We have to ply our own way. And so it really would depend on what is inside, or what those agreements say that the Philippines, what will be doing and what those other partners of ours will be doing for the Philippines. And once again, because we shouldn't think of the old Cold War system, we should always think in terms of the fine line that the Philippines has to tread in all our foreign policy decisions.
But if Mr. Marcos, if you reject the concept of spheres of influence, does that mean you're going to scuttle the Mutual Defense Treaty when you become President of the Republic?
By no means.
Linked to the United States of America as a defense ally.
No, by no means. The relationship with the United States, our special relationship with the United States, is not something that we can treat, be cavalier about. It is a very important one. And it has stood us in good stead for over 100 years. And that, I think, will never disappear from the Philippine psyche, the idea and the memory of what the United States did for us and fought with us in the last war. And so that is a specific part of our foreign policy. But then as we approach, we know that we are a hot spot right now. The West Philippine Sea is a hot spot in geopolitics right now. And that is why we still have to find our own line in terms of all of these arrangements. Except the one simple principle is that we will not cede 1 square inch of the Philippines to any country.